Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be part 2 of Is Batgirl Really Woke or Not? Now, in the previous video, I covered the previously leaked information. I also covered the timeline. I think that's an important part to cover, and the fact that the timeline is woke, that Flashpoint presents Supergirl as a substitution for Superman, woke, and that Wonder Woman, questionable ethical activities in Wonder Woman in 1984, completely forgiven and swept under the rug. Kind of woke. Batgirl race swap, also woke. And finally, that we know that Michael Keaton is only in 5 scenes, only 2 as Batman, and that he does not mentor Barbara. So if Barbara isn't being mentored by Batman to become Batman, then I don't know, that's kind of questionable. That makes me think that this is woke. As we covered in that story, this was the story where we covered the extra details, and that was a Screen Rant article. We saw that, information about Firefly, and we also saw information about how basically they were copying and pasting a similar origin story for Batgirl that Batman had. So copying and pasting one character's origin story onto another, and especially if that character is now basically just a race swap, gender swapped version of that same character, seems pretty woke. But let's go into further detail. So continuing on, we have plot leaks from Reddit. Now, this is alleged Batgirl plot leak. This was actually taken from 4chan and transcribed into this in Reddit. But let's go through this and determine, is Batgirl really woke or not? Well, Barbara Gordon, Leslie Grace, returns to Gotham City. Did I call her Leslie Hughes in the last video? I think I did. I don't know why. Returns to Gotham City after attending college and reunites with her father, Commissioner James Gordon, J.K. Simmons. Barbara attempts to join Gotham City Police Department against Gordon's wishes, but ends up in a desk job as a computer analyst. Barbara admires Batman, who has disappeared, and the new generation of vigilantes he has inspired, particularly Black Canary, who is played by Jurnee Smollett. Now, you may know Jurnee Smollett also played Black Canary in Birds of Prey. Barbara trained martial arts in college, and she begins to engage in vigilantism, aided by her transgender friend, Alicia Yeoh. Alright, so we have some additional information here already. We already know that we have a race-swapped Batgirl, that we have a character who's basically a gender-swapped Batman because she has a similar origin story now, because Firefly allegedly killed her mother, not her father, not both parents, but her mother, and now she has this death of a parent origin story like Batman. Now, fairly common origin story for superheroes also, but still, death of a parent or a parental figure is a popular trope. But this is very, very close to Batman. So we've already got a lot of woke building up, plus everything that we see in the timeline, Supergirl and all. And now we see that her best friend, who's going to help her out in the vigilantism, is her transgender friend, Alicia Yeoh. I mean, we're checking a lot of boxes here. She's transgender and she's Asian. So we're making sure that we've got all the minority boxes covered. And we're also making sure that we've got all the alphabet covered. So this is starting to seem even more woke. But let's not judge too soon. Let's go on. Barbara investigates a series of fires and learns that the culprit is vengeful firefighter turned arsonist, Garfield Firefly Lynns, as Brendan Fraser. Meanwhile, Gordon joins forces with District Attorney Janice Porter to take down mobster Carmine Falcone. Their case rests on the testimony of Falcone's former enforcer, Mickey Sullivan, so Falcone hires Firefly to eliminate them. At the same time, Barbara develops a relationship with Alberto Romano. This is unaware that he is Falcone's estranged son. So he's basically the illegitimate child of Falcone or whatever. So Barbara foils Firefly's attack on Porter in a makeshift batsuit, but fails to save Sullivan, attracting the attention of Bruce Wayne. Now, here is where I want to go back and start putting all of the pieces together. So here's yet another article about leaked spoilers, which will also help bring this into focus. This is Batgirl shelved from ScareMag.com, script spoilers, test screening feedback. Okay, well, no point holding info anymore. Michael Keaton only has 5 scenes in Batgirl. He didn't train Barbara. Again, we see this, he didn't train Barbara. She just dressed up as Batman for a Halloween party, stopped some terrorists, and tweaked the costume to be a superhero. So we just read right here that Barbara foils Firefly's attack on Porter in a makeshift batsuit, but fails to save Sullivan, who was the informant for the district attorney, attracting the attention of Bruce Wayne. Now that's interesting. So, and I'm seeing, this comment that what she did was her sort of, coming out was that she dressed up as Batman and stopped some terrorists or foiled Firefly's attack on Porter. Now, is this the same event? I think it could be. Maybe what happened here is she's at the Halloween party. She's dressed up, obviously, in a makeshift tight suit. This is not a permanent suit. This is basically a costume. She's in a costume, not a permanent bat suit. And she manages to stop this attack that happened. Now, is this possibly what happened? Yeah, I think it's possibly what happened. That's one way to definitely interpret it. These could be 2 separate events, but I think they also could be the same event, and it would make sense. Could they have been at the party together? Maybe. I don't know. But whatever reason, Barbara ends up foiling this attack. Maybe it took place at the party. Maybe it took place just after the party or near the party, something like that. And she ends up, for whatever reason, intercepting Firefly, and she, defeats this or foils this attack on Porter, but fails to save Sullivan. Now, she saves the DA, and obviously she gets some attention from Batman. Now, Wayne recruits Barbara through Black Canary, who trains her while Bruce provides her with a new suit and arsenal. Now, this is where I start to have some issues, and here's why. Now, initially, here's the thing with Barbara foiling the attack. So we know that she trained martial arts in college, but she trained martial arts in college with some no-name guy, right? This is not going to be anyone in particular. This is not going to be a master. This is not like, Batman or Bruce Wayne's training to become Batman. She's had maybe 4 years of martial arts in college. Maybe she's really good, but does that make her good enough to be able to engage in vigilantism and successfully foil an attack, that's being, performed by this guy Firefly, who, let's not forget, takes out Killer Moth at some point in time in this, right? He's already taken out some guy who's basically trying to assassinate Batman. Firefly took him out like that. So Firefly is like one of the main guys that Barbara ends up having to fight in this. She's got to deal with him, and he seems like a pretty serious guy, actually. And so she foils his attack already before she even does any training, before she does even any training seemingly with Black Canary. That's a little bit confusing because now we have a protagonist who has done no development. We have a protagonist that has not gone she's basically gone through the belly of the well. She's crossed this threshold where she's decided she's going to do this. She's going to step up and do whatever it needs to be done. She's maybe kind of gone, maybe this covers the belly of the well, but I'm not seeing a road of trials here, right? I'm not seeing the growth here. I'm not seeing that actual transformation into Batgirl, from Barbara Gordon to Batgirl. We're not seeing that yet. So here's my comment. With no training, other than insert generic martial arts training here, while in college, of course, from nobody in particular, Barbara manages to defeat a terrorist plot after dressing up as Batman for a Halloween party. Now, in my opinion, this is my take on what I'm reading, and this is a classic Ray Palpatine maneuver here. A female protagonist that goes from weak to strong is a classic hero's journey protagonist. But a female protagonist that goes from strong to strong never has to develop or grow and goes through trials, but there's never any actual struggle. You know they're going to win. That's a boring 2D character that doesn't grow. That's a character with infinite plot armor that goes through trials, but again, there's never any risk. This is because there's a contingent, look, there's a contingent of people out there. We'll just leave it at that. And you can determine who they are. But they can't stand it when women are portrayed as vulnerable or weak or needing to grow or change. But that is the hero's journey. The hero is usually initially they are vulnerable, they are weak, they do need to grow and change. It's just what it is. And if you're portraying a superhero, then your superhero should also be having that journey. Now, she's fine just how she is, of course, which is strong, obviously, because she's a woman and she don't need no man. There is this presentation of women over the last few years in entertainment. And to sum it up, I'm going to steal a quote from Comics Division from his video on unlikable female protagonist. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. But I think it's a fitting quote. Women are perfect, beautiful creatures that don't have to struggle or work to achieve their goals. When they encounter resistance, it's either the fault of a man, society, or the patriarchy. And what's he talking about here? He's actually talking about a movie that was made, and the director of the movie, who is a female, got all sorts of comments back from other females who did not like the character. And they were questioning, why did you even tell this story? Because the female protagonist is not a good person. In this female protagonist basically pretends to be a victim of something, and I won't spoil the details for you, but she pretends to be a victim, and when she's really not, and that means that she's a horrible person, but she is the protagonist. And these people couldn't understand why this director would write such a movie and create such a movie with such a horrible protagonist. And yet we are allowed to do this with men. We're allowed to have anti-heroes where the male protagonist is not a good person. And sometimes we even end up rooting for them in some capacity. There are plenty of movies like this. Again, you can do this with men, no problem, but you seemingly can't do this with women. Or if you do, you're going to get a whole lot of grief from a bunch of people out there, probably women, who seemingly don't like this. And that is because of the presentation of women that we have had in entertainment over the last few years. So where does this leave us so far? Just to sum up, we are seeing the woke timeline, the substitution of Supergirl for Superman. We're seeing that Batgirl is basically a race-swapped, gender-swapped Batman because she has his exact same origin story. And now we're seeing that Barbara manages to leap into action with only a minimal amount of average martial arts training, and she's actually able to foil the primary villain in this case, Firefly. She's able to foil him and foil his attack on Sullivan and on the district attorney, Janice Porter, essentially without any training. Again, this is a good stopping point, and we've seen that this seems pretty woke so far, but we're going to dive even further in the next video, and we're going to finish this little series out on whether Batgirl is really woke or not. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to cover the rest of the details from the Reddit post. We're also going to address the question, who is more qualified to train Barbara Gordon? Is it Black Canary or is it Batman? And why was Black Canary chosen? All of that will get answered and more in the next and final episode of this series. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you becoming convinced that Batgirl is actually woke garbage? Or are you asking yourself still, is Batgirl really woke? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to continue to smash the narrative, then smash the like, subscribe, and share buttons, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.